Hello everyone, I'm Ishan and welcome to The Race Monkey. I am living with this, the Mercedes Benz EQS 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus. A pretty long name for a massive car. And yes, there is this long name shenanigan that's going on with all the auto manufacturers these days, and it is quite annoying. But most of these electric vehicles coming out of Germany have enormously long names, and so do this. So I've been driving around this car for the last few days, and I've been using it as my daily driver, which usually happens whenever I get an AMG product. But this one's different, and I'll tell you why in this video. But before that, there is a long wait for this car to be fully charged because it has a 100 plus kilowatt battery, and we're plugged into a 50 kilowatt an hour charger, which is charging at the rate of 30 kilowatt an hour, which in theory should charge this car to full in about 3.5-ish hours. So the wait is long, and that's the price you pay to get that enormous power and torque figures to fathom. So let's get on the road after the charging is over and talk more about how the EQS 53 AMG 4MATIC Plus feels like how to drive. I've been driving the EQS 53 AMG for the past 1 week or so, and I've been thoroughly enjoying this car. Now, for starters, yes, it is extremely powerful. 750 bhp and 1000 plus Newton meters of torque. Is 2010's hypercar category. Remember Paganis and the Bugattis of yesteryears would have that sort of power, or let's say the Ferrari Enzo. But it's here in an electrified S-Class, and it does feel bonkers, to be honest, to have achieved such incredible engineering prowess at such brilliant size and shape of a car. Now, to put it in perspective, 750 bhp is 10 times the power that you get out of a Tata Tiago. That's apparently my daily driver at home that I use for my city runabouts or to get my groceries. But for the last few days, I've been using this as my daily driver, and to be very honest, this is coming out to be a much cheaper affair, but there is nothing cheap about the EQS 53 AMG. Start off with the price tag. 2.5 crores ex-showroom Delhi. This is the creme la creme of Mercedes Benz, and something that you would aspire to have if you're an EV enthusiast and a performance enthusiast as such. Now, I'm on the highway, I'm cruising this car with absolute ease, and there's nothing that is more cocooning than an electric car with an air suspension and these beautiful leather seats. And these are
leather seats.
couch. They are not Artico seats. They are not for leather. They are real leather seats. It is going to trigger a lot of vegans, but it is what it is, right? Plus, there is massage functions and seat heating and cooling for all 4 passengers, which makes it an absolutely wonderful affair for families to go out on road trips with this one. Now, it takes quite a lot of time to charge this car. If you're a person who 90 to 95% of the time stays inside the city, goes to office, comes back home, takes it out on a drive with the boys, have some lunch on the weekends with the family outside the city, this makes perfect sense. With a 50 kilowatt charger that I have in my living quarters, it takes about 3.5 hours to charge fully, and in that 3.5 hours, the 107 kilowatt an hour battery gives a claimed range of about 545 kilometers. Now that is not the WLTP range, that is the range that has been certified by ARAI, which is an Indian Association for Automobiles and Research. Now I sort of feel like breaking those stereotypes and tell you guys that yes, a performance AMG electric Mercedes can be extremely economical to live on a daily basis. Now, there are certain aspects about this car which does not support that fact of being an economical car. 2,600 kilos of curb weight. Massive tires. It's running on R21s, 275 in the front, 275 in the back. This is a 4-wheel drive car. That means there are motors in the front and at the back. So essentially, the energy is transferred both the ends. There is no eco mode, there's only comfort mode. And all the tires are supplied with power all the time. That doesn't mean that this cannot be a very efficient car. We're currently doing about 140 watt-hour per kilometer, which in theory is absolutely brilliant. If you calculate it, that means in 1 kilowatt of charge, I'm doing roughly about 7.5, 8 kilometers, which for a car enthusiast like me who does travel a lot is insanely cheap. Now I have a solar panel on top and we get subsidized electricity in our house, and for every unit of charge that we do, we pay around 4.5 rupees. Now 4.5 rupees to do 7 kilometers, take this car to 0.6 rupees for every kilometer that you drive. That's actually cheaper than buying those expensive Nike boots and doing a road trip altogether. Now, out on the highway, EVs don't really perform too well. And this being a 2.6 ton electric vehicle with 2 motors to drive all the 4 wheels, which shouldn't be very, very efficient. But with all the launches that I've been doing after the toll gates and keeping this car in the speed limit between 70 and 100 and stopping in between sometimes to look at the view outside, I'm still managing way below 200 watt-hour per kilometer, which is pretty amazing because that translates to 5 kilometers per every kilowatt of charge that I'm using. I'm still paying an energy cost of well below 1 rupees per kilometer. This is coming out to be extremely sensible. Now, the EQS in comparison to the S-Class is about 5 times cheaper to do its really runabouts in. Now, in the city, because we have quite a lot of energy recuperation and we do brake quite a lot, most of the times we are building up the energy. But here on the highway, that's not the case. And for a car which is this heavy, having that sort of a credential, being extremely efficient, is something that I really appreciate about the EQS. And I'm relaxed. I have my massage on, my seat ventilation
Caution.
on.
Continuous curve in 300 meters.
My concierge is constantly telling me that you have to pay attention on the road and stop talking much to the camera as if it's your wife. But yeah, I mean, it's just an absolute event. I love spending long distance journeys in this EQS. And mind you, the camera might be shaking a little bit. But that's because there is quite a lot of undulation under the car. The car's going through a bad patch of road, and because of which there is quite a twist and turn around these bends. Just look at the landscape, it's beautiful. Alright, I'm really feeling hungry now. I think it's time to have some lunch and take a perspective of how the EQS has performed so far. So we stopped over at KFC for a nice fried chicken burger. And the best part about owning an EV is that at most places you get a preferred parking for electric vehicles. And so do we have here. So finally got myself KFC. So, single burger. Now I shall devour it because I'm hungry as hell and I've been driving around this car for quite some time. My stomach needs sustenance. Cheers. So we've covered about 100 kilometers now in the EQS in the last hour and a half with an average speed of 55 kilometers an hour, which included 50% of driving within the city and 50% on the highway. Now, interesting. We've just pushed up from the 200 watt-hour per kilometer mark, which makes it slightly lower than 5 kilometers per unit. But even still, it's incredibly impressive how efficient this car is, being a all-wheel drive 2.6 ton 750 horsepower car. Imagine driving a Ferrari Enzo or a Pagani Huayra Zonda, whichever is a 750 horsepower car, for 1 rupees a kilometer. I mean, whoa! Oh! Braking recuperation. Woo! This thing is insanely quick. What? Every time I push that accelerator, it just jumps off pushing all the blood from my cranium to my butt cheeks. And that's a feeling that I love because I get that tickly sensation in my stomach. Call it butterflies as you may. But it's an incredible feeling.
Caution, sharp curve in 300 meters.
Plus I have a concierge telling me to be a little careful. Who wants a girlfriend when she, the MBUX, is taking so much care of you without you feeding the repercussions of having a girlfriend in your life? So in proper NCR fashion, I've gotten myself stuck in the Gurgaon Delhi traffic at rush hour. It's either my car is too big or we have an overpopulation problem because this is insane. There are way too many cars on the road and they just don't seem to fit in. But yeah, I'm in an electric car. I'm not causing any pollution. I'm not killing any birds. There is no dust because of me on the trees. And I'm perfectly cocooned inside because my engine's not running and I'm not feeling those jerks that one gets out of their gearbox. Cheap. And also, I'm crawling through this insanely dense traffic without spending too much money. So I am in a win-win situation. Yes, sir, I am. Now the EQS does not feel too heavy to pull through this tight traffic situation. Like you don't have to put in too much of effort to make it go a little and then stop again. It's just an effortless experience. Like you can even put this car on cruise control and let the car decide what speed it wants to do while it's heading on inside the traffic. Pretty smart. Here in the rear quarters of the EQS 53 AMG, it is like a lounge and not like a typical back seat. Now, in theory, the EQS platform had to be started off with the Maybach, but Mercedes decided to keep it simple and also give it the AMG treatment. So, I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall. I have insane amount of knee room, so much so that I can make a child stand in front of me with the seat set to my seating preference. Although you don't have to do that because that's unsafe. And you have masses of room on both the trajectories. Like the shoulder room is quite a lot. The headroom for a coupe design is very impressive indeed. And you have these beautiful soft cushions which you can hug if you're feeling alone. We also have this massive central armrest which houses the touchscreen system over here where you can control the front seat, air conditioning, light situation, as well as the ambient light and audio controls from the rear seat. Now, these rear seats can be electronically reclined, and so can the headrests. And you can have a nap while you're doing that long distance journey, because with that 545 kilometer long range, you would want to use this back seat for those long trips. And although you have so much of room to do this, or even hide from your parents, but always put your seatbelts on. when you're in the back seat. You can do all of that drama when the car is in static position. Well, let's get back to the driving seat and talk to you more about how this EQS feels and what I feel about it in my verdict. So, what's my final verdict on the EQS 53 AMG? That I'll talk about later on, but there is something that I want you to understand. As a car enthusiast, we all strongly feel that there is no replacement to internal combustion engines. Absolutely true. If I were in your place, as a person who loves cars, I would pick the S-Class V8 over this any day. But just look how far electric vehicles have come. Even in the emotional factor, besides being absolutely practical. They're very quick, they induce that spirit of excitement every time you floor this car, because all the power and torque is available at an instant. It feels like an exaggerated roller coaster ride. And that is something that I absolutely enjoy every time I drive this car hard. Although I prefer not to, especially on the roads in Delhi. And on the practicality side, this is almost 15 times cheaper to run every single day. So I save a lot of money. Although anyone who's buying a car worth 2.5 crores, fuel prices are the last thing on their mind. But if you are someone who drives about 3 lakh kilometers in a timeline of 10 years, this will make a lot of sense. A lot of sense. And so, here's my verdict. So, what do I feel about the EQS 53 AMG? To start off with, this is quintessentially an S-Class. It's very comfortable, it's extremely cocooning on the inside. And it is very much an AMG, minus the noise, of course. But the way it makes you feel when you're driving it hard, it's just breathtaking. And for that, the EQS 53 AMG wins my heart and also my head.